So today we're going to be taking a step back from the latest and greatest because the new releases are getting a little bit boring and a little bit pricey, and because you guys told us on a recent YouTube poll that you wanted us to focus a little bit more on the budget and low end. To kick that off, we're going to be taking a look at this. Now I believe that this is the ultimate in low cost budget gaming right now. Now for those budget gamers out there, we know that it has been a difficult time, particularly when it comes to building a gaming PC. Not only have CPUs increased in price, GPUs increased in price, but there's also a few other components that are starting to go up, particularly cases and power supplies. Fortunately for us, things like SSDs and DDR4 RAM have actually fallen through the floor, so you can pick them up pretty cheap. But today we wanted to take a look at what we think could be the ultimate in low-cost gaming when it comes to the CPU and GPU. For the CPU in this combo, we've decided to take a look at the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. We recently did a video on this CPU, so go check that out if you want to see what else it can do. It is a 6-core 12-thread processor running on the Zen 2 architecture, and it's got quite a lot of life left in it. You can pick these up for a reasonably priced nowadays, new still from Amazon for about £80. We'll put a link in the description below. But on a good day on eBay, you can actually get them for around $50. Being paired with this CPU is this. This is the AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. It is a graphics card that is a couple of generations old now. It has 8GB of RAM, and the model that we've got here today is actually my old graphics card. This is the Gigabyte OC version. It is a triple fan, very quiet, very cool, and it requires a 8-pin, 6-pin connection. But these are actually pretty decent, and they are also a pretty decent price. Now I bought this a couple of years ago, brand new, and it cost me around £400, but obviously they've gone down in price since then. During the actual mining boom, when we couldn't actually get hold of any of these, they were going for extortionate prices. I was seeing them on eBay for selling up to about £1,000. So it's good to see that they are starting to climb down, and you can actually pick these up again on a good day on eBay for around £150. Now combined, that makes this about a £200 combo, which is actually a very decent price, considering that one of the lowest graphics cards at the moment is something like the RTX 3050, which this card is much faster than. They will actually cost you more than that. And even on the AMD side, where you generally find the best bang for buck, and when it comes to new, these are actually still cheaper than something like the RX 6600, and the RX 5700 XT will also give it a bit of a run for its money. So for less than an RX 6600, you can actually pick this combo up and pretty much get gaming. And it's a pretty decent setup because obviously the CPU is an AM4 processor, which means it will work on pretty much any generation AM4 board. It will also pair brilliantly with DDR4 RAM, which is super cheap right now. And obviously all you need then is a case, power supply, and you could just throw in a cheap SSD and you've got yourself a full gaming rig. But of course we want to know how well they actually perform together, and to find out we've been doing some benchmarks, so let's take a look at them. Now we actually had a lot of fun benchmarking this combo because I haven't actually had this CPU and this GPU paired together myself for a very long time, and I forgot how good they actually were. Now this pair together make a great 1080p experience even on some of the latest games, and if we take a look at some of the results we got, we can actually see how well it performed. In 1080p on pretty much all the games we managed to get over an average of 60 frames per second. The only game that we couldn't quite reach it was actually Cyberpunk 2077. 1% lows were pretty decent throughout, although on some of the more later demanding games, particularly CPU demanding games, we did see a slight decrease on them. But where this pairing actually shined was when we actually reduced that kind of CPU usage and moved to 1440p. Again, nearly all of the games saw over an average of 60 frames per second, although the 1% lows did take a little bit of a dip when we got towards the end. Looking back at the 1080p results, what we really want to do is try and aim for a 60 frame per second 1% low, and obviously as you can tell, a few games didn't quite make it. Back 4 Blood was one of those games, Cyberpunk 2077, which was no surprise, God of War, which has been extremely difficult to run lately, and Spider-Man Remastered. Now for 2 of those games, which were actually Sony Studios games, God of War and Spider-Man Remastered, it was very easy for us to just tweak a few things and actually get that boosted. Simply reducing the game's preset from a high to a medium or original setting, we managed to get those 1% lows to reach over 60. And then obviously we came to Cyberpunk 2077. Now Cyberpunk 2077 was actually a little bit more difficult than that. Reducing the settings or the preset from high to medium didn't really have that much of an effect. So we actually had to enable FSR 2.1 to get it to boost. Now doing this managed to get us a decent average frame rate, and as well as increasing those 1% lows to make the game super smooth. So those results are actually pretty good. With this kind of combination, for only £200, you're not only going to get a good 1080p experience, but for many games you're going to be able to push into the 1440p. As this hardware is now getting a little bit older, even though AMD have released a lot of new drivers for this graphics card, and it has matured quite a lot, it's much faster than it used to be. You do need to tweak some settings on some of the latest games, in particular some of those Sony Studios titles, but then as per all the testing that we've done with even faster graphics cards, we've had to do that anyway, so you're not going to be missing much, and I think this combo makes an ultimate experience, particularly for the money. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this combo together. Are you running something similar, and what kind of experience are you having? If you are running something older than this, would you consider upgrading to it now that you know that it's actually pretty cheap and they work really well together? Not only is this a great pairing together right now, particularly for the price, but it also means that you're going to go onto some great platforms. The AM4 platform, obviously, with installing your 3600, will actually support pretty much any AMD Ryzen processor, meaning that you've got a lot of space to go in terms of upgrades. And with these processors at the moment now coming down rapidly in price due to the release of the 7000 series and the AM5 platform, you're going to be able to pick up another bargain in a year's time, and it will only increase your performance. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Also, drop the video a like if you want us to look at more things just like this, and we'll catch you in the next one.